Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Natavia Unleashed, where we will be talking about and breaking down chattel slavery. Yes, chattel slavery. It's no doubt that amongst the world, slavery's been practiced amongst all type of ethnicity groups. But the game changed when you enslave based on your skin tone and your ethnic origins. And unfortunately, that was the beginning scope of what we now call America. So, I want to kind of first start off with talking about chattel slavery as it relates to the colonies. All right. And I don't know if many people remember, but the first 13 states of America, which was previously called the colonies, were the actual people who actually started slavery. It didn't really start in the South. I know that the South has the bad rep because they didn't want to let it go once they did get the control of it. And so we're going to kind of tone in there and talk about that and just talk about all of the wealth that it created for America. Okay. Then we go on to the American Revolution, where the colony slave owners had to make a tough decision and negotiation. They wanted to win the war. So, with them wanting to win the war, they offered the slaves freedom as well. And that was during the American Revolution. Okay. So, once the American Revolution happened and the slaves helped, they had to be to honor their promise and free the slaves. So a lot of the colony slaves became free slaves. However, slavery was still being practiced in other parts of the country, the South in particular, who did not want to let it go. All right. And so I want to dive into that a little bit more and just talk about what that was. So chattel slavery was imposed upon descendants of Africa for over 400 years. And we talk about the Atlantic slave trade, but what do we really know about that Atlantic slave trade? Okay. So you think about um once the American Revolution happened, then we had another war within ourselves when we became Americans, and we had a civil war, and that essentially was another negotiation with slaves to help win the war. It seems essentially that all of the white ethnicity groups that make up Americans, they have throughout history kind of had a fight, and they've kind of like pulled us black people in, okay? The ones that they call African Americans, but they pulled us in, and we're really just black America. Um, I have great appreciation for my um African, what do you call it? Counterparts are but I don't know anything about Africa. I know everything about America, and I'm very much a Black American. I'm okay with them adding something to my American name. I don't have to just be American. I'm okay with that. I would like to be just an American, but I'm okay with being a Black American. A distinction across the world that people understand and they know us. We're just a little different. Sometimes it's a good difference, sometimes it's a bad difference, but I wanted to find some videos for us to talk about with chattel slavery and those type of things. But being this my first episode when it's Heavy Unleashed, I'm just not going to really even stick to a script. I'm not even sure if I want to even stick to chattel slavery. I might jump around the place and talk about reparations because essentially they've never really fully compensated to repair Black Americans. Like Martin Luther King said at one point that we were free to famine. Essentially, when slavery ended, they gave Black Americans nothing and gave the white slave owners an opportunity for money to compensate for their losses. Um, Obviously, we know that we're still fighting a similar struggle here today. that America is still resembling a lot of that residue from its slavery days, and that a lot of people are questioning, did slavery really go away? So that's what I like to talk to you about. Did that chattel slavery system really go away, or did it modernize? Are Black Americans really better off today than they were, say, 60 years ago, 160 years ago? Well, obviously we were slaves, so we probably would probably be happy that at least we're being declared free, whether or not we feel free or not. So I want to just go in and I want to just continue to talk about that modernized concept of, if slavery really ended, or did it get repackaged in some kind of way? Like, let's think about some things. Let's examine some things. For instance, like, so right now, we have a lot of things that they say through executive order are being turned around. And some say it's for the good, and some say it's for the bad. And I don't really have an opinion one way or another. Um, I know what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to be all emotional about things. Oh, they're going to do this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm a history nerd, and pretty much anything America can do and will do to any Black or brown ethnicity group has already been done to my ancestors, the Black Americans. So it's like I hear it, but it doesn't scare me, because I'm from a people who have persevered through a lot. And understanding that I'm from a people who's persevered a lot to be still here in America without um, repairs, basically, the reparations, the unpaid check that Martin Luther King mentioned, insufficient funds. That talk. We love to quote the I am a dream speech, but we don't quote the rest of the words within that, and understand that there was a bigger vision. There was an equity vision for Black America that still hasn't happened. Yet, America has benefited from the treasures and the intellectual properties of Black Americans. There have been a lot of innovative ideas spurring from Black Americans that have helped America become a global trade partner. Okay, with those people getting very little, if anything, for their inventions, for their intellectual property, to the point of the day that the ancestors are still somewhat in a second class citizen's place. And so here recently, we have talked about segregation coming back. Oh my God, they're going to segregate restaurants, and they're going to segregate. And I'm just smiling. Now, I do have some people that, are really concerned about things and how it's moving and all of that. But because I've read enough history and I understand, and I guess I've already had my shocking moments of America and what has happened traditionally to my ancestors and to others, even currently today. I don't My grandfather told me when I was a kid, he was like, ain't no sense in worrying about nothing you can't change, girl. And so that's where I'm at. I'm at, it ain't nothing that it ain't no use in worrying about anything we can't change, because America has been shown our ancestors and continue to show our ancestors what can or what shall be as it relates to being in America and the conditions of America, right? So, let's talk about reparations for a minute. Like, I ain't been thinking about it. Most people like, oh, why would we give them reparations? And that wasn't our fault. Da 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 da. We can trace reparations and the wealth that reparations the the amount that's due to Black Americans, the descendants of those slaves, and beyond that, honestly, we can justify that. There is plenty. Just being able to officiate the Juneteenth holiday, showing that there was a delay in those particular slaves, even knowing that they were free, to where now we have Juneteenth saying that that's actually officially when everyone found out they were free because others didn't know, even though some did. Um, and you just think about that, and you're just like, okay, so we had the Juneteenth, so that actually shows some kind of justification right there alone for a tort, I guess if you want to use that, committed. And we think about that, and we think about all of the wealth when it was created, how then it funded these banks and these other innovative things, and just you know how you create wealth, right? But at the same time, Black Americans didn't benefit. We keep on saying that old money has nothing to do with us today, but it has everything to do. Because even when Black Americans succeed, usually it's still funding the same old white money system that actually started off the back of slaves and never compensated for that. And I don't know if I'm making sense or if I'm rambling. Sorry. If I'm rambling, but you just think about that. You think about uh, just like Black Americans have had, let's say, over 400 years of oppression, maybe more, close to five now. Because I've been living for 46 years and I can't believe it that we're still fighting about, like, here lately, somebody said about, again, I mentioned earlier, restaurants being segregated, communities being segregated, things being oppressed. What, I don't know, but did slavery, like, I mean, did the segregation really even end? Like, did segregation end? Like, I don't know. I just know that we got all of these what I call franchise plantations in America, right? Like, think about it. I'm like, did segregation end? Because I've been seeing a segregated America from churches to the communities, and it's always a lot of the Black communities have the short end of the stick, especially when it relates to the county and the schools. It's usually not a great thing. It's usually like the crumbs left or something like that when it comes to getting the resources and things that's needed. Obviously, they say that tax plays a part in community. If you don't have a lot of homeowners, that type of thing. But somebody owns the homes, tax them. That's how I see it. But look, I'm not going to keep on just going on and on about that. But did segregation end? Meaning, look around. It's like, even when you see the communities that maybe became Black communities because of white flight, and those communities get a chance to finally have it's just due, and get a facelift, a makeover, whatever you want to call it, urban renewal, whatever the case may be, it's usually to displace the residents that's been there enduring all of what they've been enduring. And you think about that, and I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking like, okay, so if segregation ended, why are these communities like that? Like, particularly, I live in the great state of Illinois, and Illinois is actually credited for the most sundown towns in America. And literally, the where we live mainly or on the outer skirts of Illinois. That's more people towards the Chicago area and more people towards the St. Louis area, right? Where I'm from is East St. Louis, and you'll hear me talk about East St. Louis a lot moving forward. But East St. Louis, Illinois, and I I look around in our county, all of the black communities are impoverished, but the white communities are not. And yes, I don't know. What's the reason? Obviously, it's the effects of slavery, right? We still haven't repaired things. We still haven't repaired things. Things are still not repaired. And then to now hear this administration, well, first of all, the actions of the administration being able to pass so many progressive things so fast for its constituents, President Trump is promises made and promises kept. I've been in politics for about 16 years and I've never seen a politician that is able to keep so many promises so quickly. I mean, he's what, within his first 60 days in office? Now, are the changes being made good or bad? Some say good, some say bad. But however it goes, we have been watching politics play out in America for as long as we've been living because it's going to keep on and keep on and keep on. What we didn't know was so much money being spent on non citizens of America when America's previous enslaved descendants, or, yeah, hello, we need some help here. So that's my question. That's where I'm going to end it because I don't really want these to be longer than about 20 minutes because I really want you guys to listen. But are we really scared about all of these things that they say could happen? Like, I'm not sure what the media is trying to do by reporting on all of these things to, I don't know, put some kind of fear in us, but we've been telling people for the longest time we are not our grandparents. And I am from the Generation X um, era. And I'm actually one of the babies because I fall within the last 2 years of the Generation X. And Generation X has lived through and have persevered through all of America's racism because we've been seeing what they're talking about is happening, that it was already happening. We're just like, did it end? Like, what are you talking about? No, next, what else? No, you're not getting us out there marching in the streets. No, you're not getting us to fight with people. No, we're not going to respond and get criminalized because somebody called us the N-word. We can call them word back. It's a freedom of speech. As long as they can take it. As long as they can take what they're ditching, I am fine with whatever comes. Because guess what? Black America and white America will have some kind of showdown if they think that they're going to come and not come correctly. I am full blown American citizen. I've been here all my life and I have did what I can to blend in what standard America says standard America, from speaking standard America and along with speaking Black English, because Black English is a thing. You can go in some of America's quote unquote hoods and not understand a word anyone is saying if you don't speak Black English. So I'll end with that note, but nah, we ain't scared because we really don't feel like segregation ever ended. So if you make it look like a duck and quack like a duck, yeah, it's probably a duck. I'm out of here, guys. I'm out of time. Enjoy your day.